I'm biking across Canada for mental health. I've decided to. Anyway, I'll leave that to the end here. I am trying to fix my bike. Um, a guy here, a friend of a friend of a friend from way back a number of days right ago, came over today and tried to help me fix my bike. I've been on the phone with some bike expert friends, cyclist friends today, and um, it's been a learning curve for me, learning all sorts of things about flats that I didn't know. I biked across Canada before, fixed 6 or 7 flats of my own. They were straightforward, and I thought, well, that's how you fix flats. And I've learned so much more today about what can go wrong with flats. It seems I've hit the jackpot for, oh, you want to teach Matthew everything to know about fixing a flat tire? Well, let's throw it all to him at once. That's what it seems like. I mean, maybe it's not really that bad, but plus, like I said earlier, I was having a slow day, and anyway, um, the guy came over. Bruce is his name, and great help. He brought me 2 hamburgers and 4 peanut butter sandwiches and 2 apples, and it felt like I ate those in about 90 seconds. Those tasted awfully good. I had some granola bars this morning, probably 5 or 6 granola bars. And anyway, I wandered over to the hotel here. They had pop and chips, so I got 3 bottles of cold bottled water, and that tasted awfully good. So I did eat today, and I'm not hungry right now. I'll be good for tomorrow. So Bruce knows a lot about bikes. He was telling me even more than other things, like the difference between radial and bias ply tires, bike tires. He said my tire and tube are both bias ply, which means any patch will work on them. Does anybody know anything about radial bike tires? I had never heard of that before. I guess radial tires, some patches don't work well on them. What do I know? I just work here. So anyway, he took the tire to his house just around the corner, I guess. There's only like 3 blocks of houses here. It's a small little place. And while I was eating, he fixed my tire. He came back. He found another piece of wire in it, which I didn't know. It's just barely peeking through the tube or through the tire. And anyway, we got that out. He said he soaked it with soap and water. He found probably 3 or 4 maybe micro little holes that might be punctures when the tube maybe spun around at some point. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I'm not 100% sure about everything I say related to this. I've learned a lot today, but I don't know everything. Anyway, the thing was, when we were moving the tire, the tube caught on the rim with the gears on it, all the 9 or 10 gears, and they're sharp, I guess, and it cut a big gash, about an inch long gash in the tube. So anyway, he said, well, we could patch that up, put a big patch on it. He had patches and stuff. He's a car, motorcycle, bike aficionado, so he's got all sorts of gear and stuff. Anyway, so at this point, if you haven't noticed, here's a test. Am I wearing the same clothes same shirt for the last 3 videos? I think it's 3 videos. I need to do laundry, and there's no laundry here. Anyway, so it's a combination of needing to do laundry, and I had a day where I didn't do any biking. I was supposed to bike to Regina today, and and also there's more. He said there's more sections from Route 11 to Regina where the shoulder is non-existent and you're biking on gravel again, and that's probably where I got those 2 pieces of wire in my tire. That's the only gravel I've biked on for any length of time on the shoulder yesterday, and that's right when I got the flat. So anyway, I've decided to take a ride into Regina. He said he was going anyway, or a friend of his was going anyway, and I want to go to a bike shop. He also said my back tire is worn down. I noticed that the other day too. The front tire here, the tread is still pretty good, but the back tire in the middle, the knobs are worn down a fair bit. So I was conscious of that already. He said I should get a couple tubes and inner tubes and a new tire in case that one wears out, which is a smart idea. I might even get 3 inner tubes. There's bike shops in Regina, Winnipeg. There must be bike shops. There has to be. Thunder Bay. I'm not sure about communities in between Thunder Bay and Sault Ste. Marie, Wawa. I don't know how many communities have bike shops. There's Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is tubes, so I shouldn't be too worried. There's probably Canadian Tires in some of those small centers that are sort of regional centers for people, for towns. Um, so I'm taking a drive for 100 kilometers. I'm cheating. There, I said it. That was what I was afraid to say. I'm cheating. The reason is he could drive me into Regina tomorrow and come back, get a tire, get a tube on it, and keep biking. I'm torn. This is my 4th extra rest day, and I'm just conscious of getting into Newfoundland before it gets too cold. Will it be cold in early September? If I come in late, I want to get there before September, Labor Day weekend. Will it be cold in early September, the first week or two? I don't know. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. I don't know. It's just something in my head. Maybe it's a mental block I should forget about and not take a drive into Regina tomorrow. Be probably 5 days behind schedule then. I don't know. I need to, and I'm also stinky, and it's just, yeah, that was my decision. Anyway, I'm not out to break any records. By the way, for anyone who's wondering, when I biked across Canada in 1992, I biked every single inch from UBC, from the Pacific Ocean at the UBC campus in Vancouver, to Lac Baker Campground near Edmundston, New Brunswick. And I got food poisoning, and I had to ride in the support vehicle. 3 days in New Brunswick, 1 in Nova Scotia, I think. There's about 4 days where I had to ride in the vehicle. So technically, I've never biked across Canada. And so far, yeah. So, but anyway, I said, I biked a good chunk of Canada. Like, that trip was probably 95, 96% of it, let's say. 92%, I don't know what, 4 days out of 4 vehicle riding days out of 72 days of riding is percentage-wise, but let's say 93%. But I told people for years I biked across Canada, so it's close enough. It's a darn long distance. And also, I'm thinking, Matthew, you've biked this far from Vancouver to Middle Saskatchewan. Doesn't that kind of say, well, yeah, a guy with schizophrenia can go across Canada on a bike? It looks like I've made a pretty good dent into that myth. If you want to call it a myth, I don't know what you'd want to call it, but I guess you could say, yeah, a guy can go a pretty long distance on a bike. And I've biked pretty much I've gotten some rides through construction sites, and excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. I've got some rides through 5 construction sites, maybe, mostly in BC. So I haven't biked every inch, but it's anyway. And I try not to get too worried about this stuff. I'm biking a long way, and some people might think, why are you even out on the sides of the highway anyway? The infrastructure isn't there. It's not there to support you. It is there for cars. You can get across Canada in a car darn easily. But for bikers, the infrastructure isn't there. Shoulders, some bridges have very narrow or non-existent shoulders. There's like 10 or 12 of them in BC. I haven't really talked about that much, but there are 10 or 12 bridges, old bridges, like 100 years old. I'm thinking, Matthew, what are you doing crossing this bridge? A truck could come around the corner at any minute and clock you. But you wait till it's quiet, you go across, and I just boogied across those bridges, and I didn't get hit. And yes, Mom, I didn't tell you that, but I'm telling you now if you're watching. That's what I did. Not safe. I tried to minimize the risk as much as I could, but things like that could change if more cyclists get out and want to do this trip, which there seems to be all the time, more and more cyclists biking across the country. I don't know, there could be some simple fixes for this with a bit of money spent, but yeah, Anyway, I digress. So that's my plan. I'm driving to Regina. And I haven't even thought about, will I bike at all tomorrow in Regina, leaving Regina? Will I leave Regina? Because I'll be there in the morning. They want to leave around 8:30 a.m. to get there. I guess that's something I could do, is bike from Regina outside Regina and stay somewhere past Regina tomorrow night. Interesting. See, I don't even have time to think about all this. You think, oh, you've got all sorts of time, Matthew. No job, no worries, out there enjoying nature, just all sorts of time to daydream while you're biking. There's lots of stuff I just don't even get time to think about, logistics and stuff like that. So that's, there you go. There's an example. You saw it happen live on a recorded YouTube video. Anyway, follow mindaid.ca. I'm biking across Canada to help people with schizophrenia like me and people with mental illness in developing countries. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later.